you're unmuted. We're ready to go. Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to On the Same Page. I remembered our name that time pretty quickly. Um, both of you, by the way, in chat now have little commands. There they are.
Also,
So excited.
Please explain that to me.
What do you mean?
What do you mean I have command?
Yeah, so I went exclamation point Cass, and it says the Gold Star Book Club member has entered center stage.
Oh my god. I'm
I'm the emote queen.
Yep. Ashley
Whoa.
is the emote queen, has entered center stage with the Doritos.
I love that I still have my gold star.
Yeah, I wasn't going to take it away from you. I feel like
Thank
that's
you.
really important for you, so I let you keep it.
I aspire to attain more. Thank you.
Yes. Spiegel also has a command. The worst fisherman. It's true.
I just saw that. Oh my gosh.
Speaking of fishing, I need to open fishing. No one fish. Don't fish. You're gonna waste your points. Don't do it. Anyway. Ashley is also a pretty good fisherman. That's true.
Yeah. Well, one of my accounts is a good fisherman. The other one isn't.
You know, you can't win them all.
Right.
You can't win them all. Anyway, are we ready to get started now that I'm opening this? I really tried to prepare as much as possible, and it never fails that I always forget to do something. Anyway, I guess we'll start by introducing ourselves, the book, and we'll go into the non-spoiler section of the book, everybody.
Woo-hoo.
So hi. If you don't know me, I don't know why you're here, first of all. First of all, welcome in. If you don't know me, hi. I don't know why you're here, but welcome in. My name is Stress Lemon Zest. You can also call me any form of that name. Zesty, stressed, lemons, whatever the fuck. I also go by Kiele or Kiele, and my pronouns are they, she. Anyone want to go second?
Oh, I'm Ashley. I go by she, her. I'm just one of Kylie's college friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we do a book club together.
No. Oh. Have you heard of our book club that we do together?
I don't know. I was trying to bring up an old joke and it did not.
We're just Kylie's college friends. We're not really important.
Whatever, dude.
I was not expecting the silence, and I was like, okay, and we do a book club. It's fine.
Oh.
Yes. I was gonna be like, and next? Yes.
I'm Cassidy or Cass. I they she pronoun. No, I don't. I use she her. Kylie, this is what happens when I hang out with Kylie. This is what happens when I hang out with Kylie. I start like adopting things Kylie does.
That's
or
true.
Is apparently. If you don't know, Kylie has a septum piercing and she twiddles it when she's thinking about stuff. Oh. And when I hang out with Kylie too long, I start twiddling my fake septum piercing. And it looks like I'm just picking my nose. Anyway, I'm Cassidy. I use she, her pronouns. I'm glad to be here.
Beautiful. What great intros that was.
Thank you.
Hold on. I'm apparently quiet. 1 second. Hold on. I don't know how the fuck I'm quiet, but okay. 1 sec. Okay, I moved the mic closer. Chat, how am I sounding? Am I sounding better? I can't hear myself, so I did nothing different than last time, so I don't know. This is my favorite intro that's been done so far. Yeah, pretty much. A lot better. I don't know why I'm quiet, guys. I really don't. I'll just
scream.
I'll just be really close to the mic. I'll just be really close, and you guys will all have to hear me, and that'll all be your cross to bear.
It'll be ASMR book club.
Beautiful.
Oh no.
Okay, so if you don't know, the book club for this month The book club? The book? The the book for this month? The book for this month, not book. We do book club every month. Bye, Mika. The book for this month was Never Whistle at Night. This is so difficult because I'm literally leaning into the mic like a weirdo. So now my equilibrium's off. The book is Never Whistle at Night, which is a Indigenous dark fiction anthology edited by Shane Hawk and Theodore Van Alst Jr. I hope I said that correctly. Sorry if I didn't. There's a lot of authors in here, guys. There's a lot of authors. In fact, I think 30? Hold on. 35? Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. I can't count. 26. All of these little short stories are all done by different authors, and it's pretty cool. So if you didn't see, we do have potential trigger warnings for this because we don't know what stories we're going to get into. We're not going to get into all of them. There's a lot of them. I don't think we want to get into all 26 of them, but we'll get into most of them. But the potential trigger warnings would be themes of sexual assault, child abuse, child sexual assault, family trauma, mental health, cannibalism, body horror, PTSD, racism, colonization, murder, ableism, animal abuse, brutality, and death, and other related topics. It's a very wild book. So if you don't like horror, don't be here. We'll see you next time. It'll be okay. We'll miss you. Don't be here. You might get nightmares. I don't know. Ashley might have had nightmares from this. Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, I had to have a comfy book to read after this book.
Yeah, it is a hell of a list. This book covers a lot. But I'm going to give a little blurb and then about like the general vibe of the book. And then we're going to go into our overall general thoughts, non-spoilery thoughts, and then we'll get into it. So this book, Never Whistle at Night. Never Whistle at Night. I can't talk. Jesus Christ. Many indigenous people believe that one should never whistle at night. This belief takes many forms. For instance, Native Hawaiians believe it summons the hakuopo, I can't say that, the spirits of ancient warriors, and Native Mexicans say it calls La Chuza, a witch that can transform into an owl. But what all these legends hold is in common is the certainty that whistling at night can cause evil spirits to appear and even follow you home. These wholly original and shiver-inducing tales introduce readers to ghosts, curses, hauntings, monstrous creatures, complex family legacies, desperate deeds, and chilling acts of revenge. And that's the blurb. There you go. So if that sounds like your vibe, if you're like, hey, I really love short stories and I really want to hear all the crazy things that you guys have gotten going on, you should read it. If that sounds like your vibe. Okay, thank you so much for the 13 months. I love you. So I'm a little all over the place, guys. Can you tell? Jesus Christ. You can tell I haven't streamed since last week. So now we're going to go into our non-spoiler section. So if you want to know our overall thoughts, and then afterward, we're going to do the spoiler section. So if you're like, hey, I really don't want to be spoiled on this, then we'll announce it. We'll know. You can Jude on out. It won't hurt our feelings. Does anyone want to go first on overall thoughts? What they thought of the book? The anthology?
Sure.
Okay, go for it.
So it was not what I was expecting. With the title of it, of like Indigenous horror, I think I was expecting like folklore, and there were elements of folklore in it, but they weren't like actual folklore stories. They were like modern retellings using old folk stuff. Not even retellings, just like modern horror stories with folk themes.
Yes.
And so at first when they started telling stories, I was like, wait a second, what is this? But it kind of grew on me as it went. And there were more stories that were more like that, more like the whole element of like a fairy tale where It's timeless. It has no setting or a time period that you can guess. And those are like the kind of stories that I really like. And there were a few in here that had elements of that I appreciated. Yeah, it was a very wide collection. I did the audiobook. And so it was like a whiplash each time, and because all the stories end so abruptly. And so all of a sudden, and then it gives like in the audiobook it like talks about the author of the book after, and so it's like in the middle of this scary thing, and then it just ends, and it's like so and so has written blah, 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 and you're like, oh, okay, well, that's that story. So it's a bit of a whiplash to just boom, 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 all these different stories. And I will do my best to be able to talk about individual stories. But when we get into them, you're going to have to remind me what happened, because there are so many. They all blend together.
Yeah, that's valid. Do you want to go ahead and give your rating of your star rating?
My rating?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I forgot we do this.
And I will say, this is our star rating of no individual stories, but I would say as it works as an anthology. Like, overall
as it works as an anthology.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with 3.2.
Oh, okay. A middle of the road. I like it. Okay.
I walk the line.
Okay. Ash, do you want to go next, or do you want me to go next?
You go next. I agree with Cass. I was definitely expecting like more spirits, more kind of monsters. I wanted to hear more, I guess, like history, you know? And then I thought, like, definitely the first couple stories, it was a little choppy. Like, it's like climax, and then it's over. And you're like, oh, okay. Kind of like, you know how, like, horror movies, it's like the last 10 minutes sometimes are, like, the most intense, and then it's like, and then the clouds go away. Or some of them end that way. Some of them end that way, but some don't. But, yes, I agree where it's kind of like it was a little bit got whiplash at the beginning, and then you kind of get into that rhythm of like, okay, this story is either gonna, like you can kind of be like, okay, we got one page left. Is it gonna be resolved, or are we gonna be, what's gonna happen?
It ends on like an innuendo of what could have happened, and you're like, oh.
Yes. Or it's like almost a cliffhanger, or like almost a plot twist, and you're like, wait a second.
Wait a darn minute.
Wait a minute. I rate this as an anthology. I put a 4.25 because
4.25. We're getting into
I used my
places. Wow.
Hold on. Stop. I used my little book tracking app, and it has a rating system, and it goes by quarters. So that's anyway. Where the 2.5 came from?
4.253689.
No. Oh my God! Stop.
We're gonna honestly slowly get more and more decimal points as the book club goes. Next time, I'd like to introduce the 100th place.
You literally said 3.2. I want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
You're right.
I only said 2.5 because that's what it was on my app. I wasn't trying to out-decimal you.
I'm going to... Do you want my gold star, Ashley? You can have my gold star.
Actually, I do, because we all finished the book on time. So I think we all should get a star.
I think we all sing.
I think this is the first time we all finished it on time.
I'll change my rating to 3.3 repeating.
Oh my God.
Yeah. with the little line over the second 3.33 because you have to.
I like the pie rating.
I've like lost my identity as the Gold Star Book Club member. I don't know who I am anymore.
I'm not giving myself a gold star because I literally finished it 5 minutes before I said hello to you guys. So
this makes sense.
Listen,
it's still before it's that. No, that counts because we didn't reschedule book club, so that counts. This was the deadline. This was the agreed deadline, and we stuck to it. so you get that star. You put that star on there.
Kylie gets a silver star.
No, I'm not giving myself a silver star. What the
Come on. I also finished it today, so.
You're kidding.
We're here. We got here. That's all that matters.
I love that for us.
But
Cass, would you have us any other way? Be for real.
Right. Come on.
I would not have you any other way because you don't exist any other way.
Oof.
Wow, we're getting deep.
Wow.
Dang.
I like you as you are. Exactly and precisely. I think you turned out nicely. And I like you as you are. That's Mr. Rogers' original.
I was just letting you go for it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, well, my turn, I guess. So, my overall thoughts. This book was kind of nostalgic for me, I'm not gonna lie.
What do you mean?
It was, and I think so. Rosie had a comment that a lot of this is like sounded like childhood stories, and a lot of these books, especially all the stuff with the folklore, was very nostalgic for me. With my family, as you know, and for those who don't know, I am an indigenous person. I'm Hawaiian, Native Hawaiian. So the fact that I don't know, it's just like a lot. And also, okay, so here's let me give you a little backstory. Okay, so I have trouble reading sometimes. Okay, I have trouble sitting down because it makes me anxious. So sometimes I'll walk on the treadmill, listen to the story at 2.5 speed, and read along with it. Oh. And I know that sounds a little unhinged, but
that's not unhinged.
Okay, thank you. But it helps me get through. So
if you were listening to it at like 2.25 speed, that would be unhinged. But 2.5 is fine.
As long as it's even. As long as it's an even decimal point.
I'm gonna leave.
But so it also, a lot of the people who like read the stories, and I don't know if you did the same recording as me. I'm sure it's the same across platforms. But a lot of them sounded like my cousins and my uncles and aunties, like telling stories, especially with like their accents and things. So I was like, oh, this is so nice, but horrifying at the same time. So that's what I mean by nostalgic. That's what I mean. But back to the overall pacing of the book. I really liked it. I liked that it made me trip and fall on my face a little bit, because you were reading a story and you were like, bam, we're done.
Oh,
you're like,
and it's over.
Okay, wow, all right, here we are. And you know what? I think I needed that, because honestly, this one kind of, I think, fixed my little reading slump. Like, I'm really excited to like start reading a bunch again, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm ready. And I think it, like, I don't know. Maybe I was just in a point in my life where I needed this book. Who's to say? But that being said, I am not a horror girl. I'm not a horror reader girly. Okay, so this book was really horrifying to me. I just need everyone to know that. I know everyone has like different levels of horrifying, and I don't know how it was for you guys on levels of horrifying, but it was really scary. There were some that a couple stories where I was screaming. I was like, ah, no, please, no, ah, me the whole time. So that being said, And now I'm gonna give my rating, and you all are gonna be surprised by it.
Oof.
You're gonna be surprised.
Hey.
I'm ready.
I'm giving it 5 stars.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I haven't given no book 5 stars this whole time that we've ever read books.
Never. Kylie's very critical of books, actually.
I am. I give it 4.999999999 stars.
Okay. Good night. It was so nice talking to you guys. I will talk to you guys later. Goodbye.
Yeah. But I really love this book. I thought this book was just, I don't know, was really fun. It really pushed me out of my comfort zone, and I think I just needed that. 'Cause I don't know, I guess I really needed something to like, I think the Monsters of Templeton and this book really pushed me out of my comfort zone for reading. And I think that was really good for me. So I liked it. I liked it.
Yeah, no.
I am curious how horrifying it was for you guys, though. I didn't even ask.
There was one story where I was very surprised because it almost like jump scared me the way this author wrote this particular scene, but it was like someone woke up and then it was like everything was fine and then like a face was just right there, and I literally screamed. And it's like, I don't think I've ever read something where I didn't think I could read a jump scare. You know? It's like, you think a jump scare would be like something only in movies, but I was surprised. I was like, ha, no. Or like, you know, when you're reading and you're like very deep in imagination, like you can see what you're reading. That's how I got jump scared. I was like,
so fair.
She's having a nightmare. Oh man. And then she wakes up and it's like a smiling face at her. I'm like, no, not what I was expecting.
Yep. Okay, Cass, what about you? I'm curious.
I was not particularly spooked by any of them, but I also think that there's probably like multiple things that go into that. For one, doing the audiobook, which meant I was almost always doing something else while listening to it. So I wasn't like fully immersed in the story like that, where I'm like visualizing it and stuff. And then I think that also like gave a level of separation. Reading books, it's a very intimate experience to like open it up and read it. You know, reading is very intimate, I think, between you and the book. And I think that level is sort of removed with an audiobook. And yeah, so I think that would have been different if that. And also just like not having a ton of context for a lot of these stories, for people who are saying that these are very familiar types of stories that you're hearing from family. Like this is not the kind of folklore or storytelling that I would have been exposed to. So not having a lot of that like personal connection to it, I think also created a level of separation between me and the story. I didn't feel like personally attacked or in fear of any of the stories, but more so like this outside perspective of like, that's interesting, that this is a theme in these stories and stuff like that.
Yes.
Okay.
I agree. That's a good perspective.
I have 2 more questions for the non-spoiler section. First, so this is an anthology, so people could, you know, pick out certain stories to read out of this anthology. Is there one or two that your guys are like, you have to read this one?
Oh God.
Yes.
Oh God. This is where hang on. I found a list online of all the stories and I have to
I can go first if you guys want me to break the ice there.
Yes.
Okay. So for me, there's a lot that I would be like, you have to read it. But the two that I like the most, and we'll get into the ones we really liked and the ones we didn't like, But the two I really liked was the first one, the first story. It comes out with a bang, which is Kushtuka. I hope I said that right. By Matilda Zeller, which is really good. And then because I thought that one was really spooky and very good. And then the one that I thought was it had spooky elements, but it was also very fun. I thought it was very fun was Hunger.
Yes.
Yeah,
That could definitely be like sorry.
I liked that one too because, first of all, I love stories of women being mean to men, rightfully when they are due for it. But that one had like the most like sort of folky elements that I was anticipating the anthology to have.
Okay.
And like really like harnessing their roots and their knowledge.
Yes.
I like.
Okay. Ash, do you have any?
Yes. I also said the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, because just creepy. So creepy. And then also the other one that is it's just another creepy one is Behind Colin's Eyes.
Oh.
That one, like that, because that's also, that one was just so like, because I feel like that's just such like a perfect, like just child innocence. And then it's just like devastation. You're like, oh no.
Yeah.
I can see. Yeah, that one I think was one of the scariest ones for me.
Yeah, I screamed out loud on that one.
Yeah. And I think also this story in particular, like when I think of indigenous folklore or specifically like monsters or spirits, this kind of story was what I was picturing. And the first one too. It's like you all hear about the skinwalker, all that kind of stuff, and it's like that's kind of what that is. And it's like it's not, it's something like that. They call it something else, but
they call it something that we won't say on this podcast because it's a sacred word. But it starts with a W and ends with an O for those who do not know what we're talking about. Yeah. We're not gonna say it, Rosie. We're not gonna say it,
not
Rosie.
on anyone.
No. We're not calling that shit in here. Fuck no. Nope. Anyway.
And I think it's also homage to like the title of the anthology too.
Oh, absolutely.
So yes, I love that one.
Cass?
All right. I liked, this one was towards the end, Collections, about the professor who collects the heads. Hang on, there's another one towards the beginning. Hunger. Before I Go. Where this woman takes the this is non-spoiler.
What?
This is the non-spoiler section.
Yes.
I was about to explain it. But I liked Before I Go.
That one's a good one. I'm looking at the list of my table of contents. That's why you said Before I Go, so I was trying to remind myself what it was. I also like that one. That was really good.
Yeah, that's the one that jump scared me.
Yeah, that one also jump scared me.
I was like, I didn't know a book could do that. That scared the shit out of me.
Ooh, yeah, No.
It also gave me Coraline vibes. Or mainly the creature did. It gave very Mother from Coraline for me. That's who I imagined.
Creepier. That's creepier.
I'm like, oh, this bitch.
Oh, this girl? Get out of here.
Yeah, it's her. Okay.
Okay, so you said Before I Go and what other one?
Collections.
There's so many, so I'm just trying to. That was towards the end, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the second.
Oh! Yeah! Oh, God. Oh, God, yeah. That one was creepy to me. That was really, really creepy. That gave me the heebie-jeebies. The heebie-jeebies. Heebie-jeebies. Okay, sweet. Well, before we enter the spoiler section and we get it all out there, my last question for the non-spoiler section is, after reading this, would you still whistle at night?
I can't whistle.
I also can't whistle.
What?
So...
Okay, you guys are safe. Okay, you guys are safe. Perfect.
So that's yeah, I'm not
you
worried
both
about
can't whistle for real?
Not
I
very
can like
well.
suck in whistle.
Sometimes I can get a good tone, but it's not consistent.
Sometimes.
I've been practicing. I've been working on my whistle.
Wild. Well, I'm not doing. I've never whistled at night. Jacob sometimes will tempt fate, and I'm like, all right,
Why?
I'll see you later. I'll see you in the afterlife, buddy. It's not gonna be me. Nope. Okay. All right, chat. I know there are a couple of you who have not finished the book yet. So, just so you know, we are going into the spoiler section. We're going to be talking about our favorites, our least favorites. We're not going to get to all the stories. But just so you, in case you don't want spoilers, feel free to skedaddle on out. Okay? We appreciate you coming in and saying hello. But if you don't care and you want to be spoiled, that's fine with me too. That's A-okay. We're not going to hold it against you. I spoil stuff for myself literally all the time. Okay. So, getting into it, we're already talking about our like top 3 stories. So that was a great little segue into there.
Whoa.
Yeah. Does anyone want to dive into their top 3? Or I can start. Don't matter.
Kylie, kick it off.
Okay, I'll kick it off. I'm going to talk about hunger first because I feel like that's a lighthearted one.
Yeah.
So, lighthearted.
It has like a clouds clear at the end kind of ending.
Yeah. So this is Hunger by Phoenix Baudour. I can't say the word. But Hunger is basically about they're at this college party. There's for the rest of the podcast, because this creature does come up a lot in this book. It's the one that starts with a W, ends with a O. They refer to it a lot actually in the audiobook as the hunger creature. So when I say hunger creature, that's what I'm talking about. Just so everyone is aware. So they're at this college frat party. There's a hunger creature present that has taken over someone's body. And this native woman, this indigenous woman, she goes out and she's like, I'm gonna go walk alone at night. I'll be fine. And she basically kicks this motherfucker's ass. She's like pulls out all her medicine and she's like, what? Because he's like going in to like attack her and like sexually assault her. And she's like, bitch, fuck you. Wrong. Here you go. I'm fighting. And he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm fighting back. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Get the fuck out of that guy's body. And then another girl pops out and she's like, well, bam! Well, bam! I got a branch. And then they're both holding a branch and they're like, it's so funny to me because I fucking love it because they're just like casually talking. Like they're not freaked out about it. They're just like, oh yeah, like blah blah blah, like yeah, we're gonna like, can you just like leave? Like, can you just like?
Party wasn't even good.
Yeah, it was so. I just loved it so much because they're just so nonchalant. And he's like begging, like, please let me live. And they're like, Anyway, we don't want anything from you. We just want you to leave. And it was just so, I started laughing because I was like, this is amazing. I want this as like a show or something of these women. I love this so much. Like, kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer vibes. I don't know if you've seen that. But it gives off like that, like, Monster Hunter kind of vibe, and it's just so fun. Yeah, just another day. It's just so fun, and I just loved it a lot. Yeah, so that one was one of my favorites, which you both said that you guys like that one too.
Yes.
And then the first one, the first fucking story that they bring in scared the shit out of me. I read that at nighttime because I was like, oh.
Mistake.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, this will be fine. Like, this book's not going to be that scary because it's going to have some scary stuff, but I'll be fine. No, wrong. Literally, I couldn't go back to sleep. I was so scared. It scared the shit out of me. Yeah. It was like so creepy, and I think it was the first story, hold on before I lose my train of thought, is the Kushtuka by Matilda Zeller. And basically a lot of things go awry where it's this indigenous woman, she's getting forced to work at this rich white guy's hunting club or whatever, who has no respect for indigenous culture, steals all their shit. Right. And she's like, hey, dude, there's something coming after us. He's like, it's just a deer. You little silly woman. I'm going to hit on you and make you uncomfortable. And, yeah. And then, so she's like working or whatever. And, it turns out that like, it's like this weird, I'm trying to remind myself because it's like this weird thing where she like the creature looks like her, and it like she basically like it becomes akin to this creature where she is the creature, and it's just like, and the creature slaughters all the horrible men. It slaughters all of them, all those people, and she takes back her grandfather, her family's like indigenous relics and like all their like precious things that they use, like their tools and things, and she takes them back. She's like, bye, I killed all of you. And then they're like, oh darn, well, he mysteriously died. That's crazy.
How did that happen?
Oh, wow, I don't know. And that's how it ends pretty much. They're just like, well, that was wild that a bear went in there, huh? I was like,
yep.
What? That was great. What a great way to start.
Really came out hot.
Yeah. And then I know I said we needed top 3, but this is kind of hard because I really liked a lot of them. I'm gonna think on my third one. I'll let someone else say a couple.
I know my third one.
Okay.
So like my first, and I think my first one is Behind Colin's Eyes. Okay. The second one is the first one, and then my third one is Snakes Are Born in the Dark.
Yes.
That one was so good.
At the beginning of this, I was like writing down brief notes about each story so I remember what they were, and this one I wrote down Evil Boyfriend Snake Baby.
Yes. So I love it. This one has kind of the wait a minute at the end for me, because it was like, so like this guy and his cousin are going on this hike, and the cousin brings her boyfriend, this white guy, of course. And he's like, guys, look at this, and it's these Indian or native hieroglyphs. They're it's art etched into a cliffside, and it's killing me. Hold on, I can't remember the the tribe. I don't think they knew what tribe it was, but he was from Alaska. He saw it and was like, "No, don't touch that. That's not yours. That's not meant to be touched."
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like he's like, "I'm not from here, but I can recognize what this is, and you need to not disrespect it." Hold on. Here we go.
Petroglyphs.
Yeah.
Petroglyphs. Yes. Yeah, and of course, like, the boyfriend's like, "Fuck you," and gets his car key and scrapes it.
Fuck that guy!
And so then they get in a fist fight, and then this is what I was like, because then he, like, sprinkles something. After their little fight, he sprinkles a little sprinkle. Next to the petroglyph. And then they're like, "Fuck, we gotta walk back." So, like, the girlfriend and the boyfriend are going under weird ailments. Like, she gets blisters all over herself. Like, she is just, like, oozing disgusting pus. And then the boyfriend is delirious. He's like, "I'm bloated." And he's like, "Ha ha ha, I'm growing a baby." And they're like, "Shut up. The girlfriend's like, "I literally can't walk. I'm covered in pus." And then I just thought it was interesting the whole time because the cousin is very, like, at the beginning is like, "I love my cousin. I'm out here because she's graduating. I love her so much." But in the situation, he's kind of like, "Oh, she looks disgusting. I can't even look at her." And it's like, that's interesting because it seems like you were very protective of her when it became, and you were like, didn't like the boyfriend, you didn't like him, you're very protective over her, and now she's in this situation. And I would think he would be like, "I gotta get her out of here as quickly as I can. What is happening?" Like, he doesn't seem as alarmed to me as he should have been. Yeah, and then the boyfriend gives birth to a snake. A snake crawls out of his belly button. He's like, "This is my baby!" And he's like crawling around in the bushes. And the girlfriend is like, "Can you please?" And then she's also delirious because she's also just like, "I just want to go home. I don't even know where my shoes are." And you're like, "Bitch, your boyfriend just gave birth to a snake. I mean, are you not like..."
She's like, "Get over it, come on."
"Get over it. We still have to make it to the car." I'm like, I think I would probably just drown myself in the river at that point. I know that I was walking along. Because, yeah. And so, again, the cousin is just very, like, observant. And he's like, like, "Oh, that's weird." Like, come on, guys, let's keep going. So at the end, there's rangers. They reach the end of the trail. Rangers come out. They're like, "We found them!" And I think it was his dad or his uncle, like, shoots the cousin a look, and he's like, "You said you were gonna stop using magic." And he's like, "I didn't use magic." "What do you mean?" And then you're like, "Wait a second, he didn't get..." Because this whole time I was thinking it was a curse. But they kind of hint that the cousin was the one who put the curse on them, not, something from the petroglyph. So I was like,
What magic?
I love that one too.
Magic. That was a good one.
Fucking threw the snake baby, and he's like, "My baby!"
Oh yeah, my baby. And then the snake bit the ranger lady, and she's like, "Oh my god!" And he's like, "Don't touch my son." And you're like, "Oh my god, what is happening?"
I want that scene, like, acted out very badly.
It would be so good.
Yes.
Ash, do you want to... We actually didn't talk about the Collins Eyes story. Do you want to talk about that as well?
Yes, because I had a lot of little notes. Because also a lot of these stories, I think they do it on purpose, like, for element of surprise, and this one does it too, where they don't give you a lot of details. And I understand it's a short story, so they can't just spend a lot of time giving, like, a lot of details. But when I was first reading it, I'm like, oh, this is a young man. And then he's like, "No, kids my age want a BB gun, but I have 2 real guns." And I'm like, wait a second.
And this one is by Shane Hawk, who is one of the editors, by the way, of this anthology.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, it was very interesting because it was just kind of like, that was a big shock for me because I'm thinking, okay, how old is this boy? what is their situation? Like he was saying, I have to stand watch, because sometimes I feel like these stories are set in different time periods. So I'm like, what time period are we in? And then like, what is their situation? Why is he standing watch? But it seems like they're in a house. And then it was just very interesting. So I was very intrigued. And then he whistles at night. I don't remember why he whistles. Oh, he's just whistling a tune, I think, outside, and he hears someone whistle back. No, he hears someone whistle, and he whistles back, and then it goes away. And then he sees eyes and, like, a creature by their barn, and then it goes away. And he's like, oh, that was weird. I'm just really tired because I've been up all night keeping watch as a 10-year-old watching the house. You're like, okay. And then he's like, father is stirring. And so they go on a hunt. He's like, I'm going to get this elk. And on their hike through their hunting trail, the little boy kind of starts. It's weird because you don't, like, his teeth start falling out. He notices his fingernails are falling off, but only on one hand. And then but he's trying to keep it a secret from his dad. He doesn't want to, he wants to be tough for his dad. And then you learn about the dad and that he went to those schools, and he mentions like, oh, he doesn't like to talk about the school. And so it's like, kind of hinting that he was in one of these government required boarding schools. And he's like, he doesn't talk about the war, and he doesn't talk about school. And he's like, I'm trying to be really tough for my dad and all this stuff. And then he hears the whistle again, and the little boy, I think he like does such a good job of like that child innocence again, because he's like, oh, I want to impress my dad because this is probably another hunter trying to check if we're an animal or if we're people. So he's like, I'm going to impress him and whistle back. And then he, summons this creature, and the dad's like, we gotta go. And you're like, oh my gosh, they're gonna get killed. And then they hide overnight, and then he wakes up, and I think, if I remember correctly, like he his fingernails came back. He doesn't know if he's like imagining things, if he's going crazy, but then his teeth are still falling out. I'm losing track.
No,
There's
good.
a lot in this story.
He shoves his teeth like back in his gums.
Oh, yes. But he's not knowingly doing that. He's like, before I even think, I'm putting it in my mouth already. Yeah. I'm trying to put them back. And like he's trying to hide his hands. And they were going elk hunting, and he finds this big elk, and he's like, oh, I'm going to kill him. And the dad's like, you got this, son, you do it. And then he shoots it, but it doesn't fall down, and it gets up on its back feet and walks on its 2 feet into the woods. Horrifying. Like running on 2 feet, and the little boy's like, I gotta go. I'm like, no, what? And the dad is running after it too, like, yeah, we gotta fit. No, Dad, what do you mean? Because you already knew, like, your son has been whistling at night, and then you see an elk that should be dead running on its hind feet. That should have been your cue to go. That should have been like, we need to leave. And so they follow the elk. They're following the blood trail. The son has more hallucinations. He sees this organ on the ground, and it like explodes into bugs. He passes out, and then he wakes up, and he's like, Dad, are you okay? You were covered in bugs. And he's like, what are you talking about? And then that is when, or I think that's when the creature takes over the little boy, Colin.
Mm-hmm.
And so he feels like he is in his head, just looking out of his eyes, like his eyes are windows. And yeah, it was just super creepy. And then it's like the creature is like, I have control of you now. And so the dad would be talking to Colin, and he goes, yes, father, that is a grand idea. Let us depart. And he's like, that's not how my 10-year-old talks. And they're like in the car, and the son is like, what did he say? I was laughing at this because it's just like, oh, it's so creepy. He would say stuff like, oh, father, why the dreary look? Papa?
Oh, yeah.
Like, The dad's like, "Oh, nothing, son. It's okay." And then he's like,
creature's like, shit, I'm totally blowing it.
I know. And then he's like, "Papa, I really miss Mama and sister. I cannot wait to see them." And he's like, "Yeah, well, we're gonna take a stop at the ranch," which he never talks about the ranch. So you're like, "Oh, they're going to the ranch," and he goes, "Okay, father." And the creature is talking to Colin, being like, "I have control of you, and this time you're not gonna kill me." And then it made me think of his uncle died, and him and his dad and his uncle were really, really close, and that made me think, what if this creature did the same thing to his uncle, and his dad had to kill his uncle to kill the creature, and so now the creature's like, "You can't get me this time. Like, I got your only son. You're not gonna kill your only son." That's how I interpreted the ending, and I was just like, this would have been like, I would have loved to see this as like a novel. Like, I think this could have been like, yeah, it left me wanting more. I'm like, who is this uncle?
Yeah.
Like changeling, kind of.
Yes. And I wanted to know more about the dad and his past and like the war, and then like, does this creature pop up in the dad's past and now it's like reoccurring in his son?
Yeah.
It gives me very like It vibes, where it's like the thing happened to Georgie, and so it's like, but the story is like, okay, how do we get Georgie back? And then it's like this creature that's like picking away at people. That's how I felt like this story could have gone. It's like, or like, like those Paranormal Activity where it's like a demon is haunting a family generationally.
Yes.
Like, that's what this felt like. Like, at the very end, I was kind of like, oh, it got the uncle and now it's got the son. I really enjoyed this one.
I also really like this one a lot. This one, to hearing you like repeat it, I was just like, oh, this one was so good.
So good.
This was very, very good. I'm gonna read something that Rosie says. So Rosie is someone who is also Indigenous, who was reading the book with us. And Rosie says, in my culture, these creatures can stick to a family, and sometimes if the tie is too strong, the only way to break the bond is to get rid of the host. Best case scenario, it can be blessed out.
Oh.
So there you go. You're not far off there. That's pretty spooky.
Cool. That is so spooky. Yes.
Speaking of that, I have a folklore attached to my last name, which we're not going to say, because I'm not going to dox myself on stream, but I'll send it to you guys later. I'll tell you guys later.
Yes.
I actually have a whole story about my last name in Hawaiian folklore. That's what that reminded me of just now. Sorry, that was a tangent. Anyway, back to Ashley, because Ashley's the star of the show right now. So you said snakes, shoot. Why can't I say this fucking name? Jesus.
Yes.
Kushutka. It's fine.
Yes, we know it.
Okay, great.
The first one.
Great. And Behind Colin's Eyes are your top 3.
Yes.
Okay.
Those are my top.
Beautiful. Cass?
All right. Hunger was one of them, but we already discussed hunger. Where was the next one? Collections.
Yes.
Which follows this college student who, she's a grad student. She knows she's just doing what she can to survive. She's working to pay her way. She goes to a very white, affluent university and is like one of the only Indigenous people there. And she needs to go to this party that her professor is hosting because she needs a good recommendation letter to get into this good program she's looking to get into so that she can get the job she wants post-grad. And So she doesn't want to, but she leaves work tired. It's really late and dark, and she goes to this party. And she's never been to this professor's house before. And as she's walking around, there's heads on the wall. Not deer heads, not bear heads, but human heads of all varieties and colors. And so this woman is feeling very unnerved by it, and she brings it up to some of her white classmates who are like, oh yeah, aren't they nice? Isn't this a good collection? And she's like, no. And at some point she ends up talking to the professor about it. They're in a conversation, and the heads come up, and the professor is like, oh yes, and I know everyone, and this person right here, this head that we're standing under, it's such a shame. I was helping them start their writing career, and they were going to be such a good author, and it's just unfortunate how these things happen, but now I have this lovely trophy. And essentially all of the stories are like that, of that she has these heads that she's collected of previous students that she's been helping get their writing career started, which is what this girl's trying to do. And it's just starting to become eerie that she's like, haha, yeah. And the professor's like, you're such a good student, and I could help you go so far. And she's like, yeah, no, totally. Because it's becoming very implied that she gets close to these students so that she can take their heads.
Yikes.
And put them on her wall and be like, I am such a culturally diverse white woman. And other professors are starting to do it too. There's like this whole, I think it implies there's like a whole cult at this university, but also maybe it's like touching on like, here's the thing about this anthology. I think we have a question about this later, about like themes.
Yeah, but we can get into it now. There's no
we're gonna get into it right now, because I'm thinking. And so as like I was saying at the beginning of this, that I was expecting this to be more of just like straight folklore and not this like modern horror tellings. And the white savior trophy symbolism. Yes, but then I was thinking like all of these aren't like the traditional stories I was expecting, but of course there's kind of this like through story, this theme throughout it of indigenous people being treated horribly, and white people being the worst, and like most US textbooks, and not really, US textbooks don't talk about that, and so I'm like, maybe that's the true indigenous horror story, is just all of the inherent racism and unfairness received as a result. So maybe that's the true horror story. And so like I think that was one of the like major themes throughout it. And so like this one specifically, like being at a university, definitely like I think touches on how biased universities are towards, or like in favor. The university system is obviously in favor of a certain demographic. And I think this story does a good job at touching on like all the other students who are completely oblivious to this, and they don't have to work all of their extra jobs to get through school because their wealthy parents pay for it, and they're totally oblivious to the fact that this professor is hanging people's heads on her wall, and they're oblivious to the fact that all of these people are people of color, which I also touches to that whole like idea of like I'm not privileged, and it's like, yeah, but you're not privileged.
Right.
Except for the white one in the bathroom. There's a white student in the bathroom.
She has she's like, yeah, that one's white, but it's okay.
So
that's why I put it in the bathroom.
Put it in the bathroom.
It's not as diverse, so I hide it in there.
Wild.
Oh, man. I wanted to kind of piggyback off of that when we're talking about themes, is I've also noticed, because I've tabbed these, because there's a couple stories that I think it's very interesting, because I've also seen racism. Like, there's one story in particular where it's almost like racist, but in a way that it's like, what percentage are you? Like, how native are you? And it's like they're...
Is that the child story or the...
Yes.
Yeah, where she has the twins who are
and also
different.
white. Yeah. Or they were brothers, and
right.
They're like less than a year apart.
Yeah.
And then White Hills too. She's like, oh well, I'm only like 12%, and she's like, how much is 12%? Your whole hand or your pinky nail? Or and then
that was when we get into least favorite. That one was one of my least favorite.
Quantum is the one with the child. Quantum.
Yes. I thought that was very interesting. I also think, because there's also a little elements of that in other stories where like maybe the main character is like, oh well, I can't really relate to this because I'm not as native as the elders, or I'm not as like, it seems like there's a lot of like, oh, I'm losing. It seems like in a lot of stories it's like the characters is like, I really have to connect with my roots and my heritage because bloodline wise I'm losing it. If like, I just thought that was very interesting, and that's a perspective I haven't really been exposed to, of like, you know, it's like almost, it seems
keeping
like
the bloodline.
And it's like, I'm curious if there is like racism within indigenous culture of like, well, I'm more native than you are, or like you're not as, you know, like I wonder what that dynamic, because I mean obviously there's it's in a lot of these stories, and it's like what that is like. I just thought it was very interesting.
Oh no.
And I kind of tied that together. Like definitely it was like different because it's but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, in Quantum, I liked, that was a good one, just like in the political sense of it, and how she's like, oh, my kid who's more indigenous, has more indigenous blood, is going to have more opportunities because of that. And I thought that was an interesting dynamic to be flipped the other way. But because there are like, I don't know, you know, like colleges will have scholarships. They're trying to get to a certain number and stuff, but yeah, that was an interesting perspective from the inside of that, to have two different children of two different, and then like, and that whole then she tries to steal the blood. But that idea of like being the bloodline there was a theme of that too, of like, there was one story where she was going to like marry outside of the bloodline, and her family was like very frowning upon it. But that was definitely a theme through it too, that I was not as familiar with. That was interesting.
To piggyback off of you guys, that is most of my family actually. So a lot of my family, not to be like a downer or be too personal, but a lot of my family, like, it's very hard because there's a lot of internalized racism with a lot of my family. And then my dad, like, he cut off his whole entire family to get away from his like indigenous Hawaiian culture. And so for me, I had like this whole, I'm still on this journey. I don't think you ever get off the journey, but I'm like, you have a journey of like, okay, well, who am I? What is my culture? Like, where do I come from? Where are my ancestors? And it's a little bit, it's different for me than it is for indigenous people who are on the mainland, because my people, most of our history has been destroyed because it was mostly oral traditions and they killed a lot of them. Pretty much all of them. White colonizers killed them, but Portuguese. This is Portuguese, so we can blame them. Which I'm also Portuguese. So it's like, it's hard for me because a lot of my whole life has been like, what are you? What are you? Like, are you white? Are you mixed? Like, are you black and white? And if I was literally anything else, it was like, well, you're white. Or, because, you know, I'm not super dark, but I'm also not white. So it's like, oh, well, you're white. Or, oh, well, you're not white enough to be in this group. So, and that was like my whole childhood of like people calling me a mutt and people calling me like all sorts of horrific names that we don't gotta say. But it's like, it's so aggravating because it's like, I am still on this journey of like, because I also, you know, have my African family that I, you know nothing about, because my grandma and all of them, you know, had to deal with slavery and all that. So I don't know that side at all. And it's like, it's so frustrating because there's literally nothing I can do about it, but people are still like, well, if you're not black or you're not this or you're not that, then fuck off. Then you're invalid and your experiences are invalid. And it's just like, and it isn't like, even in my family. So like, Jacob and I had to deal with a lot of shit, like, because some of my other family members, none of my immediate family, but some of my family members were like, oh, you're going to date a white man? And I was like, yeah, I am, because I like this white man, so I'm dating him. Like, that's just how it is. And it's like, oh, well, you're settling, or, oh, well, you're betraying who you are. And it's like, no, I'm not. Just because I'm choosing somebody who I'm gonna love doesn't mean I'm betraying like my culture, and it doesn't mean I'm betraying who I am. Right. But yeah, the percentage thing is very real. It's very, very real, especially like just within different, because I can count a lot, like how many people throughout my lifetime are like, well, what percentage of Hawaiian are you? What percentage of this are you? What percentage? Because it's very important. We have to know. So,
because there's like certain categories, you know, like if you're this percentage this, then you qualify for this, but not if you're any less.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's like, it's so frustrating. It's very, how we see race as a community is just frustrating in general for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, it was kind of crazy because reading some of these stories, I was like, oh my god, is this fucking play about me? What? Like, what the fuck? Who's writing this? Excuse me. That's making me a little sad. I don't like that. It was just crazy. It was just so wild. And yeah, especially because I am on the mainland. So a lot of like indigenous people on the mainland are like, you're not our problem. We got our own problems. And I'm like, that's fair. I get it. I just want to be accepted, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, that was a big, long thing. But yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, speaking on the stories themselves, I did really like those stories a lot. Those were really good. It was, yeah. I literally wanted to cry, though, at the quantum story. I was like, fuck you.
I know.
Fuck you, lady.
I know.
I hate that lady.
All of the kid ones, I was like...
That was rough.
That was so rough to read.
Rough. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say, I just think because the other stories are very, like... I think the kids ones are hit a little too real, because I think there's so... You know, because of the schools and abuse that happened and is still happening, and it's just still like, oh, this is probably a real, like, this story in particular might not be real. Like, what was his name? those 2 foster boys. It's like they probably don't exist, but there were probably kids who were in their situation who that happened to them, like that really happened to them, you know. And not saying that other stories that didn't happen either, but I'm just saying, like, just this, like, things that have come out with like the child abuse. It's like those stories are just so hard.
Yeah, there was a couple of them in there, and I was like, oh, Sundays was probably the hardest one for me to get through. I almost stopped that one
where he like he confronted his old teacher.
Yeah,
that one was rough.
That one was rough to get through. I'm not gonna lie. I almost skipped it. I almost skipped that one. I was like, oh, but I made it through. But I was like, oh Jesus, why are we crying in the club? What happened? Well, I am curious. Now that we're on the topic, though, I am curious. Were there any what were your least favorite stories?
Oh, let me tell you.
I hated. I hated the one where she was. I think married to. She like part indigenous, but like most.
Oh, the pregnant lady.
Like, yeah, visibly white, and so's her husband, and they live in. They're friends with like very.
Yeah, White Hills was the name of that one.
Yeah, they're friends with like very posh and uppity people, and they're watching some sports game and talking about, oh, I can't believe they changed their mascot from the Chiefs and blah blah blah. Nobody, and then the wife, trying to be like helpful, is like, oh well, you know, I'm part Native and it never bothered me, and everyone's like,
fuck. First of all, fuck you for saying that. Second of all,
and then but then he's like, honey, let's leave. And then later he's like, why would you say that you're part Native? And she's like, because I am. And he's like, and then they just don't talk. And then
didn't he say like, I thought you were French?
Yeah. Oh, he did say that. I thought you were French.
I'm sorry.
What?
I cackled at that a little bit. I was like, that's fucking ridiculous.
And then it was like, this.
I thought you were American.
And I was like, this dumb white boy. What do you mean?
And then
that's so random.
She tells him that she's pregnant, and then suddenly mother-in-law comes the next day, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna take you to a pregnancy clinic, and feeds her a poison smoothie that aborts the baby, and then is like, well, we can't be having this hybrid child born. And then she's like, and you can't be mixing your blood with my son's pure blood. And so if you're, what percentage Native are you? Is it worth a pinky? Are you a pinky amount of Native? And makes her cut off her pinky, which she does in the end. Which is that one rubbed me the wrong way. That story.
Yeah, she's like, I want White Hills. And
yeah.
And then
giving up her whole ass culture for a man, a white man, a white man,
or
what?
Yeah.
Rich money? You gave up something so precious to you that you that was very frustrating.
I feel like it wasn't precious to her at all, which it's like.
Well, I should
like,
say,
oh,
like,
bother me, or like.
I should say it's precious. It's a gift that she is given that she does not deserve. How about that?
Right.
There it is.
Right. Yes.
That's what I mean. Like, it was very frustrating for me. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Also, that author. So I was looking because they do like little blurbs to the authors. That author does not normally write this style, so that makes sense as to why it was like a little off.
Yeah, I didn't match the tone of the rest of the stories, and I'm like, that was like the second story told, and I'm like, what are we reading?
Yeah, because she's done like Star Wars, Renaissance Reborn, Race for the Sun, like An Earth and Sky. So she like writes like epic fantasy sci-fi, and has written for like Marvel and stuff.
Because they also made this. She made her like an Instagram girl, and she was like, I gotta post about it. I gotta do it for Instagram. And I was like, what is happening?
It was a little out of touch with the writing style. I didn't like the writing style of that one either.
No.
It was. I thought it was very Black Mirror-esque. So that kind of makes sense
Yes,
that she's
yes.
a sci-fi writer, because it was definitely, like, it gave me Black Mirror vibes.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Ash, what was your least favorite? You said, let me tell you. I'm curious. Tell me.
Oh, okay. Well, I have a couple.
Okay.
Well, really, I have... Hold on.
Lay it on us.
I didn't like... Oh, there's some that... Well, okay. Well, I didn't like White Hills. I didn't like that. I'm trying to, like... There's... Because I'm looking at the contents, and I'm like, there's some that I really just kind of don't remember.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them.
But I didn't... Okay. I want to take back... I don't want to say I didn't like it, but I didn't get it. So this isn't one... It's like, I put this in this category only because I don't get it. And it was The Ones Who Killed Us. I was very confused. And I think I just didn't catch on. But it was... So I couldn't tell who were ghosts and who were alive and who were killed and who were... Like, are we in purgatory? What happened? I think it's just because the style it was written and the way the characters spoke, I was very confused, and I was like,
yeah, this is the one with like the missing women, and then they appeared, and then they murdered the guy, right?
Yes.
Okay, I don't remember.
Yes. And I think, and I wanted to bring this one up to you guys because I feel like I had a dumb moment, and I'm like, I don't understand, because I think when I was reading it, I was like, are they also dead? Like, are we in purgatory? Is everyone dead? And then it's like, no, we're not. The women are dead. But then it's like, they'd say like, oh, like, it's almost like they were talking about how the cowboys died, and now that they're still mad at them, and it's like, oh, I was very confused. And then I was very confused on who was talking, and then it was like, then towards the end, it's like, okay, we're gonna pounce on them. I was confused. This is the only one where I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I don't know if it's just I was maybe too tired, or I don't know.
Whoa.
Drink some water! Drink! Oh no! Drink!
Huh?
Oh.
I was going, whoa, at you're dying.
Oh, okay. Sorry, yeah. I choked on some water. Go ahead.
I just don't have an opinion on it because I was confused.
So, for me, this was one of the more artsy ones. Like, artistic.
Yes.
And it read more like a poem. It read more like a poem. And I think, like, for me, it's supposed to be kind of ambiguous in, like, what's kind of going on. Because I think it is supposed to read more, like, poetic. But, and I had to look up, like, what some of these words were. Because I didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
But, like, the words were, like, destroy and quiet and silence, which was very interesting that they chose to use those words. But as far as, like, what the hell was going on, I think this is one of the more, like, metaphorical ones of, like, you know, like, yeah. Sorry, I keep, like, choking.
You're okay.
Of, like, not only, like, the monsters, the hunger monsters that we have, you know, because he mentions those slightly in here, but also, like, the colonizers and the men and the cowboys and people that you were talking about. But I think the purpose of this was honestly to give an ode to Indigenous women. I really do. I think it was, like, because so speaking of themes, I think one of the big themes of this was, like, feminism, because I think a lot of Indigenous cultures are, first of all, matriarchies, And second of all, really respect women in roles, because it's not as gendered as we make it. And the genders are very like fluid. So like, for instance, so I'll speak from my own perspective because I can't speak for any other tribes or anything, but like in Hawaiian culture, it's like there are people who there's like terms in our native culture for people who are like trans or non-binary or on that spectrum, and it's like already accepted within our culture. So gender is very fluid already. And I think because it's like, because sometimes in Western culture you have this like idea of like hunter and gatherer, right? Like women were the gatherers and men were the hunters, which is not true, because back then it was whoever was good at hunting went to hunt and whoever was good at gathering went to gather. And they don't place like these like normalcies on you know, people with uteruses and things like that. And I think that is kind of what this was supposed to give an ode to, because like these men are like riling each other up and they're like, we're gonna kill him, let's go. And then the women are like, no, we got it,
okay,
we can take care of ourselves, like we've got it, we're gonna burn them to the stake and they're gonna be crispy, don't worry about it. So that's what I took away from it. But this was also not one of my favorites either. So, for different reasons. I didn't like I was not ready for poem time. I was like,
that threw me in for a loop.
I wasn't ready for the poems. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I know, because I was like, right, I'm like, okay, are they ghosts? No. Wait. Has this happened? Is this in the past?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was very...
Yeah, it was very confusing. You were not alone on that. I had to like go back and look at some stuff on that because I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, I feel like I felt like I got a lot of... It's like, it was almost like, I'm also just not a poem reader. And so, yeah, like that kind of like artistic talk. It's very like flowery and like, you know, I was like, I just want to know what's happening. I can't, my little brain can't do it.
Yeah, I
just want to know.
I feel about that one.
Yeah.
What was your other one?
So that's, yeah.
I'm curious.
Let me see. I didn't like heart-shaped clocked.
Oh, that was where the guy killed his brother, right?
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah. I don't, same kind of thing with like childhood trauma. I don't like, I hated, I think it was just also just hard to read because I just hate, especially like parents picking siblings. And it's like, that's just so awful. And it's just like, yeah. And it's just sad because it's like kind of the same thing as Quantum. It's like one sibling was set up for failure, and you know, especially the mom was like, this is my golden child, and the other one I will just love because I have to, but I really don't love you. I didn't like that story.
Yeah, that's valid. That's very, very valid.
And it's also just like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't like it.
Okay.
It didn't do it. I didn't like it.
Yeah,
and then there was no like, there was no folklore. It was just like, this is a really shitty, sad story.
Yeah, the ones that didn't have as much folklore definitely weren't my fave. It was not. I really liked the ones that had more of like the, even if it was just a little bit, you know, even if it was just like a little
culture,
a little sprinkle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that sentiment.
And say like I have that same feeling for Navajos don't wear elk teeth. It's the same.
That one was
weird. A wild time.
That was a wild time. But I was also like,
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that one was a little wild. I had a.
It was scary.
Yeah, I had some issues with the writing of that. Just because I feel like I've said this before and I'll say it again. People who are queer often get brutalized, and I wasn't for it. I was like, you could have done so much something else. You didn't have to brutalize this man. You didn't have to do that. It's like, it was frustrating for me. I didn't like that. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want not that. You can make it. You know, we had another one that had a queer person in there, but I was like, you can do something else.
Mm-hmm.
But not that. Please. Thank you. Anyway, yeah, I agree with that. Was there any stories that you guys skipped? I'm curious. Or did you read it all?
Because if I skipped any, then my little audiobook wouldn't say 100%.
Okay. That's valid. Ashley, did you have any you skipped?
Mm-mm. No.
Okay.
Because they're so short, so I was like, well, I mean, what's another page?
What's another story?
What's another, I mean, it's only 10 pages long. I can do 10 pages.
That's fair. It's actually, I looked it up because I was curious. And apparently people who like read anthologies, it's very common for them to skip stories.
But then well, then what if you're like, you missed out?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I didn't. But because I was looking up, I was like, oh, I'm curious, like, what other kind of book club questions there could be just about anthologies. And apparently that's a very common ask. I know. Isn't that strange?
I bet that also kind of is like, which one would you tell someone to read? It's like, don't skip this one. You gotta read this one.
Yeah.
It's like the completion is like, how could you like not? I don't know. I want all of it to be completed.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
It was put in there for a reason. So why shouldn't I read it?
It was put in there intentionally. So I guess I need to read it.
Yeah.
I will say, though, it
yes?
was easy to put down because it wasn't like, oh, I have to know what happens next, because it's like, okay, well, I finished. Like, every time I put the book down, it's like I was in between a story. So it was kind of like...
Put that on the back of the book. This book is so easy to put down. You'll never pick it up.
No, I'm just saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yes, I do.
Okay,
no,
that's
I
not what I was
Yo, put it down and forget about it. You're gonna forget about it over there.
No, I get it. Because it's like, I always have to finish a chapter. I can't, unless like I'm reading and then something happens in the middle. But otherwise, like, I need to get to the end of a chapter before coming to like a stopping point so that you've completed a thought. And so it's nice when there's like short little chunks like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I never have this issue. I just stop. I'll stop 2 pages
No,
in.
what do you mean?
I'll just stop 2
my
pages in.
If I'm at home reading, then it's like I need to finish the chapter. But I bring books to work and we'll just like read when I'm not doing my actual job. And then it's like, oh shit, I gotta go do my job now. So I'm not gonna get to an end of a chapter there. But otherwise, I abide by. So then it just feels like, you've come to a nice little stopping point. It's like when it's like your mom is like, get to a good saving point on your video game. That's what it is. Ending a chapter is a good saving point.
I guess. I just stop wherever. I just stop wherever, to be honest. I just stop wherever. Should we get into a little bit of just overall stuff now that we've kind of dug into the stories a little bit?
Lay it on us. Lay it on.
Lay it on me. Lay it on me. Let's do this one. Let's do this question. Okay. So we kind of touched on it a little bit, but and I've been yapping. So I want to hear from you guys. So how does indigenous folklore compare to the folklore you grew up with?
This is an interesting question because I was having a very hard time like defining what kind of folklore I would have grown up with. Because there's not like there was a ton of storytelling. Besides, here's the issue was okay. Maybe I shouldn't have gone first. Maybe because this is a topic that I could talk about for fucking ever. Because so like okay.
Breathe.
I'm just getting so worked up about lore, all of the kinds of lore. So, folklore, folk of the people, you know, it's stories of the people, and like what people in the United States, you know, it's like very all over the place. So like there's a whole how do you even define things because it's such mixed cultures, and so like I have a very hard time defining what exactly folklore I would have grown up on because it's such a mixed bag. But then also, again, none of it's like really oral storytelling, and but there is the whole concept of like child lore, which is this very cool thing where it's the storytelling and the games that is passed strictly between children. It doesn't come from anyone but children, and it happens at school. And so I feel like that was a lot of my like lore growing up, was just this child lore that you experience at school through like the little stories they tell you, about like, you know, Bloody Mary stuff, like you learn about that in school, and it's the things that are like taught to you as kids, but it came from other kids, not from adults. Now it's like I mean, I grew up on fairy tales, like the classics, but like the Brothers Grimm version of them, not the Disney. And so I've always been like very influenced, and that those fables, the things that teach lessons, which is also what folklore does, but the things that like it's this big fake story that you know is fake. It's never meant to feel like a real story. It's meant to be made up, but it has this like overarching lesson, but it's more digestible when it's put into a metaphor form. So yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time defining that. So yeah, like the child lore of the games that you'd play as kids in school, Brothers Grimm fairy tales. But like, aren't we always growing up? So I'm still growing up right now. And I currently live in like the southern Appalachian Mountains, and which is just like riddled with folklore that's so fun of all kinds, and most of it's through song, through balladry, which I'm absolutely fascinated with. And so like that influences me now, and like in this area that I live right now, of just like telling story through song, and they're all always lessons. There's always these big overarching themes of like life and love and death, and anyway.
Yeah.
I forgot where I was totally going with that, but I love stories. I love stories of all kinds.
Yeah.
Tell me stories. Read me stories. Read stories, please.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Ash, what about you?
I think because I was thinking, and I'm thinking from like my own personal experience, I think kind of what Cass was saying, it's like folklore wise, right? It was very like Bloody Mary or whatever like was in the movies, or like my parents would tell me stuff from their childhood, same kind of thing. Like, you know, my mom grew up in Virginia near DC, so you know where the Exorcist was filmed, like the stairs where the priest fell and died in the movie, like was walking distance from her school. And so she would tell me stories like, oh yeah, like if we go to visit, you can't walk up those stairs backwards, or like just silly like precautionary, like it's not even a story, it's just like, oh, don't do this or this will happen, or um stuff like that. Or oh, I was thinking of another one and it left my brain. Yeah, but silly, like the only thing I can think of folklore, I guess, they're almost like, I can't remember what you call them, but they're like those little rhymes. It's like I'm literally blanking because there's really not a lot. I have nothing to contribute folklore wise for me personally, because it's like I don't, how I grew up, there wasn't really an in-depth kind of culture that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like
that makes sense.
Just very basic, generic,
generic
family growing up. I wanted to ask. I tried to ask because my grandmother, she's Italian, and because my mom and her will say little snippets like, oh yeah, your great grandmother did tarot cards, and I'm like,
oh,
what do you mean? And she's like, oh yeah, she did predictions and all that stuff. I'm like,
whoa,
what? Tell me more. And she's like, oh, I don't know, I don't remember. I'm like, oh, well, I know I have a very, and like both of my parents, so both my grandparents' parents were immigrants. My dad's side was from Germany, and then my mom's side from Italy. So it's like they would give me little tiny snippets, but it's like my grandma, like, oh, my grandmother used to sing me German songs and la la la.
Ew.
And I'm like, oh, that's nice. Tell me more. And she goes, okay. And then just like she doesn't even really remember, because I feel like that wasn't really like they didn't really talk about. I guess from what I've gathered, their parents and grandparents didn't really share much of their life in Germany or Italy, because it's like, we're here now. We're here,
Yeah.
And so it's like, I feel like that's the only thing. I have like the very small, tiny things, but it's like, no. But we're like 3 generations in of being, like in the States, so.
Yeah.
Or 4, technically, so.
Yeah.
I got nothing. I do have a funny story, because I just thought about my great Nana.
Oh, yes.
This is a funny story. Oh, oof, well.
Yes.
Maybe not.
Okay. Do you want to think it over?
My mom thinks this is funny.
Okay.
And the way it was told to me was funny, but some people might not think it's funny.
Okay.
So maybe not.
Just table it. Save it for us. Save it for us for after the show.
I'll save it for y'all later.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can voice note us.
It's not bad. It's just yeah,
you don't have to justify. You don't have to tell. You don't gotta tell
nobody
nothing.
To be like, oh my god, what is this crazy secret she has?
No.
It's not anything crazy, but it's just some people might find it disturbing, so it's okay.
That's okay. You don't have to share
but not
nothing
in a crazy
you don't want
way.
to.
Not in a crazy way. Nothing crazy. It was nothing crazy. It's just sometimes when I tell this story, they're like, "That's really fucked up," and I was like, "I don't know."
To be fair,
it was funny.
Everybody has heard the story of my wedding, for the most part, so I feel like we've really hit the nail on the coffin of fucked up stories. I also talk about my mom a lot on here, so I feel like
shout out to mom.
I feel like we're covered. But you don't have to share anything you don't want to share, because you know what? You want to know why? That's your business. That's your business, and you don't gotta share.
Mind your business.
Exactly.
I just
Mind your business.
But now I kind of want to share. No, it's okay.
Oh my god, quit teasing us.
Teasing. Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, I'll tell it real quick. I want to tell it, but I just want to say, if this disturbs you or makes you upset, I'm so sorry. It has to do with pets being put down.
Okay.
Okay, so just prepare yourself.
Prepare.
So my my great nana and my great grandfather lived with my mom and my uncle when they were little. Like they lived with them when my mom was born, so she grew up with my nana, and my grandfather got them pet rabbits, and he didn't realize that he got my mom a girl rabbit and my uncle like a boy rabbit, and they kept making babies.
Oh.
And they had so many babies, and my nana and my papa were like, what are we gonna do with all these babies, like, oh my gosh. And my great nana's like, and she only spoke Italian, like did not speak any English, and she goes, oh, I know the solution. And so then all of a sudden the rabbits are gone, and like my great nana's cooking dinner as she normally does, and she's making this soup, and like, wow, what did you do with all the rabbits? And she's like, I cooked them. And it was the dinner they were eating. They were eating their Yeah.
Oh my god.
And she goes, what's the issue? You wanted to get rid of the rabbits. I got rid of the rabbits. And my mom thinks that's hilarious, because she's just like, wow, that's so fucking crazy, Grandma. And my Uncle Mike still will not talk about it till this day. Like, he is deeply traumatized by it. And my Nana tells that story like, you're silly, Nana. And my Uncle Mike is like, don't ever talk about it again. I don't want to talk about the rabbits. And I was like, and we're sitting there at dinner like, wow, what? I learned she did tarot cards. She was like, oh, you got rabbit problem? No worries. No worries. Nana took care of rabbits. Nana took care of rabbits. So, well, I just have to be careful telling that story, because sometimes, like, I know people, I've told that story and they're like, I have pet rabbits, and I'm like, I'm so sorry.
I mean, she didn't waste not.
No.
She said waste not. Waste not.
Nana's a problem solver.
There is.
I think critical thinking skills,
reduce,
10 out of 10.
Recycle, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
She said free dinner. What do you mean? That's a free dinner.
She goes, I don't understand problem. Yeah.
Me neither, Nana. Me neither.
Yeah.
Period.
Just cook your rabbits. Cook your rabbits.
Rabbits.
So.
Wow. That was a great story. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that for everybody.
You're welcome. That's some Malini folklore for you.
Rabbit.
That is the Malini lore.
Okay.
Is that not the most Italian name ever? Malini.
It is.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
No, you're fine. Okay. So, going back to our questions here, because I don't want to keep you guys too late here. And we are coming up on an hour 45 minutes. So just to come back to what we were talking about, this kind of ties into what Cass was saying earlier and what you were saying, Ash. So, how much folklore / mythology is transmitted through schools from your experience, and do you think schools should make a point of transmitting folklore, or is that the responsibility of the family?
Okay, so I have mixed opinions on this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think folklore is a thing to be like turned into lessons in school, because that's the entire point of folklore. Is it's stories of the people, by the people, for the people, kids bop, you know. And so I don't know. I haven't. If it's turned into lessons, I feel like that defeats the purpose, but at the same time, it needs to be preserved in a way. But also at the same time, isn't that the whole point? That like it can't necessarily, like that's the whole thing with oral storytelling, is that it changes as it goes. And so in a way, we're still telling the same stories from years ago, but they're not the same. It's a big old game of telephone. So I don't know. I think we should just like let it be. We should make efforts to preserve, but we should just like let it happen, especially with like in schools. Like let kids tell the stories they're going to tell. Don't tell them, oh, that's not real. Don't tell lies, because it's all important. It's important for kids to tell stories and to make them up on their own and to share them. Like it's natural human instinct to do that. So I don't know. I think it's a like live and let be kind of thing.
So I have a follow-up question to that.
Yes.
So does that mean you think we should not teach Greek folklore? Because Greek folklore mythology is very rooted in our system. So
it is.
What are your thoughts? I'm curious.
I feel like that's differently influenced because I also just don't like Greek mythology.
Okay, valid.
And I don't know. That does raise a question, though. Yes. Of like, you know, who lives, who dies, who tells your story? Of like,
period, Hamilton.
What lessons are we teaching our kids based on the stories that we're telling? And if we're only telling one side of the story, then you're never actually like learning the lesson. I don't know.
Ash, you can answer any of those 3 questions if you would like.
I think that's when you brought up Greek mythology, I thought it was very interesting because I always thought Greek mythology was kind of, when I learned it in school, I also just, literature was not my jam, so at all. But I kind of wrote Greek mythology in the same category as like Romeo and Juliet. Like we learned
like
those
classics.
things.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Okay.
It wasn't like a let's learn about Greek culture. It was like here's this story and then here's Romeo and Juliet. Like they were all kind of like roped together. I think it would be appropriate too to add in other, especially indigenous lore too, especially ones that are from like, you know, Central America, like where we preside too, because it's like this is, you know, where this is the lore of where we are currently, you know. It's like, oh, this happened, this is over in England and this is over in Greek, but these are stories of the people who are here, you know,
and just also like how that influences people. Like you can see the flow of people and migration like through the stories that are told and the themes that come up. One of my favorite things, this is something I will never get off my soapbox about. This is my favorite thing. So do you guys know, put it in the comments, as in the chat, the comments. What is this? Put it in the chat. As you can. Get ready. But what do you call it when it's sunny while it's raining?
Oh, I have
devil
mine.
beating. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, people. No, you can say it.
Devil beating.
I thought we were holding it. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Here in the South, we've heard like, I grew up hearing it's the devil's beating his wife, as not. I am devoutly atheist, but like that's always what I've heard and believed, and even though I'm like, yeah, it's a story. The devil's not beating his wife. But those stories are important to tell, and like there's all kinds of sayings for it, and it's really interesting how they're grouped up. So so I went through like the entire list of all of the possible things that you can call sunny rain, and grouped it and put it into a spreadsheet based on themes and countries. And it's really interesting what countries have the same sayings for sunny rain, and it'll be like countries completely like across the globe from each other. And it's so interesting how that happens. Like, is that just like a zeitgeist kind of thing, like the same stories developed around the same time, or is it like a movement of people and their stories followed them? And it's I don't know. So I forget where this came from, but the stories that are told, I think, and the things that are believed show like the movement of people across the world and how things group and like certain mindsets in different areas. And
yeah,
this came from something Ashley said there at the end, but I cannot remember what it was now.
Do you want to say some of the sayings that you learned?
There's like, so there's devil beats his wife. There's like the fox. It's the fox's wedding. That one's from Japan. And the lion gives birth. Hawaii has some of the most beautiful ones of like liquid sunshine. There's orphan tears. The poor man gets rich. but it's all meant to be like these conflicting things, like things that shouldn't be happening. Two things happen, like a poor man should not get rich, the devil should not be beating his wife, but like it's conflicting things that should not be happening together. It's like unnatural, which is why people associate that with sunny rain, because it doesn't make sense. Like, this is unnatural. Why is the sky blue and how is it raining? But it's just interesting. The stories we tell each other, we tell ourselves and each other, to make sense of things in the world, as simple as blue skies and rain.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But to like the big worldly things too. But talking about teaching folklore in schools and stuff, I'm gonna bring her up. We none of us like this lady, Mary McGulick.
Oh, we're doxing her. We're doxing her on the internet.
Yes, we are. We all took like this fairy tale folklore class in college.
So excited. I was like, this is gonna be an amazing class.
It was like it was required because we went to a liberal arts school, so we had like these required classes we had to do. And this one, it's like Magic, Myth, and Mod was the only class that would fit into a music major's sophomore year schedule, which was the year you were required to take this special weird class. Not everyone was required to take the magic class, but of the breed of classes you have to take your sophomore year, that was the only one that would fit into a music major schedule.
I wish it was magic. It was not.
It was not magic. It was not magic.
No.
And she was a tough professor, but I liked all of the, like, we started the whole thing off with origin stories, and that kind of stuff is because we got, I think, a very diverse set of origin stories, and that kind of stuff I think would be interesting to teach in school, of like comparing cross-culturally all these different stories that people tell and how they're similar and why we tell stories and the purpose of it. So if we did something like that, Mary McGulick should not teach it, but
no.
I would also like. Oh,
if
sorry.
we did if we did something like that in school, where you take a theme but show stories from multiple different cultures within that theme.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree with that. I like that, actually.
I like that too.
Thank you. I'm gonna run for school board. No, I won't.
Yes, Ashley?
I would say, only because this is like my own personal high school experience. Like, this is stuff that happened at my high school, which was crazy. But like, I feel like it's also to be considered. Like, should this? Because like, okay, let me go on my little thing. Because it's like, I was just thinking too. It's like, what level of school, like, were y'all thinking in your heads? Because I think about, like, in my high school, there was a history teacher that got fired because he was a history teacher and he refused to teach anything in the curriculum that was not in the Bible.
Oh.
And he got fired because we were in public school. And it's like, you need to go to a private Christian school if that's how you want to teach, sir. And it's like, it's also one of those things too. It's like, I went to school in the South. And so it's like, I think also it's unfortunate because I think that's a great idea, but I can also see the flip side of, like, if this happened at my high school, like, the teachers would not take it seriously. And it's also like, would be put kids in a very vulnerable situation if they wanted to share their culture, because the kind of school I was at, like, you would definitely be poked at and like ostracized if you were different, you know. Which is also, speaking of the time, like, this was the 2010s, you know, like, kids, like, times are a lot different, but it's like, kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, that's
like,
wild.
And also, like, still in school, like, you don't learn about, like, America had concentration camps, like all the crazy stuff American has done, like we're not even taught our full history too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I wonder if like it's just sad to say, but it's like it needs to have like almost like a certain maturity level of like, even among staff, of like, okay, creating a safe space for those kind of things, you know? Because I can also see like, oh, well, if we can't talk about Jesus, then why are we talking? You know what I mean?
It's wild.
It's wild. It is wild. And that makes me sad, because that's like when it's like, oh, should this be taught in schools? And it's like, I know why it's not, because we got stupid Karens being like, well, if I can't talk about this, then I'm not going to teach that. You know what I mean? That's why I think the big barrier is.
Yeah.
From coming from a high school where that literally the teacher was like, hell no, I won't go if I can't talk about Jesus in my history class. It's like, buddy.
That's
buddy.
wild.
It is wild.
That's wild. You know, because it's like, it's that closed-minded thinking that's really pushing people into a rut in the first place.
It's holding us back for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, open them peepers and weepers. Open
them peepers and weepers.
But or even the
well
flip
said,
side,
though.
as a teacher who maybe wants to open this kind of conversation, but then we'll get hell from parents. What are you teaching my kids? I don't want them to know. This is
take them out of the public schools.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's I can rant about parenting. I'm not a parent. But I deal with parents sometimes, and it's one of those things where it's like, you know, you're the one who's supposed to raise the children. The teacher are not raising your child. They're not teaching them morals. They're not teaching them how to be people. That's your job.
Yep.
So if they say something in school and you don't believe it, like, oh, well, I'm Christian, or I believe this and that. Okay, that's your job as a parent, to have that conversation with your kid outside. Hey, Mom, teacher said this in school. Okay, do you want to talk about it? Okay, we talked about it. Cool. That's not the teacher's fault. You need to teach your child to think for themselves, and if they to have those complex conversations. Like, how did that make you feel? What do you think? Do you think differently? And like, have that.
Well, actually, that would require
It's so dumb.
That would require them to have critical thinking skills,
right?
Which they don't have. They don't have critical thinking skills. There's so many weeks I want to punch a parent in the face. I want to punch them in their face all the time. I would if I wouldn't go to jail. If that wasn't assault, I would. I would.
I would put that on the record.
You can quote me on it. You can quote me. But yeah, that was both of you very well spoken. I agree with your points there. I agree with that. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's a shame.
Yes.
Anyway. That's all. It's a shame. That's all.
That's all. Okay. Okay, so we just have, like, I'm just gonna do one last question because we're hitting the 2-hour mark, so I think that's great.
We do be yapping.
We're yapping. Well, yeah, that's our job. This one's a fun one, so kind of pivoting. A hard pivot. Which one, if you could pick only one of these stories to be a horror movie, which one would it be and why?
Oh God.
Make your case. I
already have mine.
Okay, go for it.
We know it.
Go for it.
Yes, guess which one.
Make your case for it. Do the elevator pitch.
Okay.
Elevator pitch.
I believe Netflix should pick up the story of Behind Colin's Eyes, because picture this. I'm assuming we're in a shack in the woods. Mm-hmm. It's a small house, you know, just boy being boy, reading his little comics, and he's with his little dog, and they're going outside, and he hears a strange noise, and he whistles between things, and it's just like the trailer just zooms in and out. It's like things are kind of normal but a little bit off, and then as the movie progresses, it's also, I feel like, Behind Colin's Eyes is also a very reverent kind of movie too.
Mm.
You guys seen The Reverend?
No.
Mm-mm.
I said yes.
Leonardo DiCaprio. You haven't seen that movie?
I'm sorry. I said yes.
Have you seen The Reverend?
I said yes.
Okay.
Like I knew what the fuck we were talking about, and I was about to Google it. So
I can't believe you.
I'm so sorry. Chat's in an ad right now. They'll be back in 30 seconds.
Zen said The Reverend.
Reverend,
yes.
yeah.
So, so The Reverend is a very, like, I feel like, from my memory, it's a very immersive movie.
Revenant?
Like, there's not a lot of...
Revenant. No,
Revenant?
it's Revenant.
Revenant. Oh, thank you.
That's not what it's called, but I've seen it. Now you're getting roasted. Oh my god.
Okay. You know what? This is my last book club. It was a lot of fun, but I have thought long and hard, and I just need to remove myself.
Oh no!
I'll be stepping away. Ashley's gonna take a step.
I'll be stepping away. I don't know when I'll be back. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Anyway, but it's very, like, there's not a lot of music. It's very, like, you're in the woods with them. And I feel like this would be a perfect, because they're in the woods and they're hunting, and he's like, or, you know, like an A24 kind of movie where it's very, very suspenseful. This is what that story was giving me. Let me look at chat so I can say this correctly. Revenant. A24. That's what it was giving me, and I feel like that would be an amazing movie.
Okay, that was a great pitch. Thank you. Cass, would you like me to go next, or would you like to go?
I'll go, because
Okay.
I don't want to go last.
Okay.
Okay. So picture this.
Okay.
You're walking through a cliffside, with your cousin's terrible boyfriend, and he's wailing because his belly's growing.
Oh my god.
And he don't know what's going on. You don't know. You know what's going on, but no one else knows what's going on. And suddenly, a little baby snake comes crawling at his belly button. And he loves this snake. He raises this snake. He takes this snake home. He puts this snake through college.
Oh my god, I'm gonna pee myself.
And one day this snake comes home with another snake.
Not another snake.
And he's heartbroken.
Wow.
His sweet baby snake.
Mhm.
Yep.
Wow.
I think that'd be a good story.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Mostly, I just want to know what happens to the snake after this story.
Say it.
It was just, I don't know what, I can't remember what they did to this. Did they kill the snake?
They threw it.
Killed it.
They threw it.
Yeah, they threw it. And he was like, my baby!
You know what? Actually, well then maybe the movie is the sequel, and it's what happens to the snake when he gets thrown. The snake tells his story. It wasn't easy getting out.
He was like,
I did it.
It starts,
Now
he's like,
it was real dark at first.
I was about to say,
In the beginning, it was dark.
Yeah. To answer chat's question, it was snakes. Yeah, the snake story. Snakes were born in the dark.
It was the
I'm gonna pee myself. Yeah.
evil boyfriend baby snake story.
Perfect.
you know what that reminds me of? A
Mhm.
couple shows have
tell
done
me.
this.
I'm really interested in anything that you're like, you know what? The snake being born out of the cursed man in the from his belly button reminds me of something. It's feeling familiar.
No, the way you described it, you know how some shows will do this where it's like, hold on. So there is an episode of Rick and Morty where the alien that likes to stab people falls in love with the blind lady, and then they have a whole montage of like their life as a happy couple, and they grow old together. That's what that reminded me of. It was like, oh, like the world is exploding, but then it's like, oh, this is a nice girl, and they have a typical story of like settling down and having kids, and they went through college, and they're growing old, and they're sitting on their like little rocking chairs. Anyway,
anyway,
perfect.
Except in this story, there are snakes.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. It reminds me of that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We had a couple people come in. Just to let you know, that was a story about a snake being born out of a belly button.
Indeed.
Just so everyone knows.
It's dropping on Hulu soon.
Okay. Well, I guess it's my. I don't know how I'm gonna follow that up. That was really hard to follow up. The snake story. Okay, so I did pose the question. So just rephrasing the question, just so we don't lose the plot.
We started.
It was, if you could pick any story out of here and make it into a horror movie, which one would you pick? Just so everyone.
You told us to pitch it. You told us to.
You did pitch. I did
it.
say pitch. I did say pitch. I did. I'm about to pitch mine. Okay, ready?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, this one is going to be an animated series. Animated movie.
Ooh.
Animated series.
Ooh.
Okay. I'm thinking, okay, we're going, it gave me Full Metal Alchemist vibes. Okay, so that's why we're going with this one. And I think that if we could mix the art style of Junji Ito, who is a famous horror manga artist, for this story, it'll make it creepy and horrifying. But here we go. So it pans to a drastic scene. You see blood, mud, a woman drinking her brother's ashes from a cup.
Oh no.
She chokes on it a little, almost vomiting. It pans to another woman speaking in an old ancient tongue. Right? Fades to black. Everyone's running around. You don't know why they're running, but they're running, and they're like, we gotta make him, we gotta bring him back. He has to come back. And she's screaming out into the void. She's screaming. And then we fade again. And then you just see the gaping open hold mouth of this clay figure going,
No.
And it goes, coming to you soon. Eulogy for a brother resurrected. There we go.
Ooh.
Wow.
That was very good.
Credits.
Thank
That
you.
was a very good pitch.
Thank
I feel
you.
Like I could see it. You know, when you were talking about the open-faced clay mask, did you guys ever watch Night at the Museum?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know the little, my dum-dum has to say.
Mm-hmm.
You know him? That's
Yep.
the face I was picturing.
I'm gonna share an image in general chat so you guys can see the you guys can see the vibe we're going for.
Yeah.
That's the vibe. Because that way you guys know what Junji Ito looked like. That's his art style.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see it. Yes, Dum-Dum, give me Gum-Dum.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's my pitch. Chat, vote. Who's the best pitch? Vote here. Ash, me, or Cass? What do we all think? You don't have to vote.
This
actually.
is a very formal voting system.
I can make a vote actually right now if we really want to, but I won't.
If you'd like a mail-in ballot, let us know.
I want to repitch mine.
Oh,
We can't do it. We can't do a
thank you, Trey.
recount yet, actually.
wow.
Thank you, Trey.
Wow.
I think they feel I'm getting pity votes because they
Wow. Everyone else say Ash.
Wait, let me up.
Yeah, with the what movie was it called, Ash?
I don't even want to
say. What movie was it?
They're like, dang, we let her up. She almost quit the book club. Someone was like, oh, I'll happily sit in. Oh, a free seat? That sounds great to me. I got my eye on you. I may be Kylie's just college friend, but
stop! I can't.
Me and Cassidy are irreplaceable. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Spiegel. Wow, Ash, you're getting a lot of votes. Wow. I got no votes? Fuck all of you. Fuck all of you guys right off. I hate y'all.
No, don't say that, because then they're gonna pity vote for you now.
No,
they're extreme, and we made her upset. So
no, they'll never. They bully me. Everyone in fucking chat bullies me. They bully the shit out of me. Yeah, there they go. Yeah, just keep going. Y'all are the worst. Set myself up for failure. That was my own fault. I put a lot of work in it.
If it means anything, Kylie, I vote for you.
Thank you. You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna take Ashley's gold star. I'm gonna give it to you. You get 2. You get 2 gold stars.
That's okay. I got the vote of the people. That's okay, because I got the vote of the people. That's what this is about.
Popular vote doesn't win. We've learned that.
What the fuck? Please be quiet. I'm listening to my friend's what the fuck, Travis? Let me just go away. Let me just leave forever now, actually. Hold on. Let me just make myself disappear. Goodbye.
So this is now the Kylie. Oh, no, it's not. This is now the Ash cast. Ass and cash, if you will. Show where we write 5-star movies.
Oh, she really left. There she goes.
There she goes. There she goes again.
Oh man.
Okay, so now we're gonna perform that one ritual from the terrible movie I tried to pitch to bring her back.
Okay.
So we need the clay mask.
Yes,
Ashley, can you provide? Okay.
I have
that's
Ash.
good.
I have the Ash hot chocolate.
Oh, good. What else was needed? We should have listened to the movie trailer better. Damn it.
I think one of us has to drink Ash. And then one of us has to chant in a language we don't know.
I really don't like the implications of me drinking Ash. So Ash can drink Ash.
Okay.
I'll start chanting. Shark, bait, hoo ha ha. Shark, bait.
Oh my gosh. Hoo ha. Oh wait, I have to chant.
Bait, hoo ha ha. Shark, bait, hoo ha ha.
Took my sip.
All right. Okay.
Kylie, come back to us! Kylie!
Did we do it?
She's trying to find a clay mask picture to put over her.
Shit. I feel like it didn't work in the story either. Didn't he come back as something weird? I'm a little. Maybe we shouldn't have done this. I'm nervous now. Kylie's gonna come back
and she'll be like, "Hello, friends. This has been a wonderful evening.
Dear Papa, I do miss my sister.
I cannot wait to return home." Oh my gosh.
Well, damn. I guess we can't conjure spirits.
No. I feel like this is Kylie punishing us right now.
So the ultimate question that we come back to, Ashley, would you recommend this book?
Oh, I would recommend this book.
Oh,
that was
back now.
Jump scare.
Now that we have a
jump scare.
Jump scare in audio form.
Prove that it's you, Kylie, and that you're not someone pretending to be Kylie. No.
You hesitated.
I don't know what would prove that's me. I have to pee right now? I don't know. That y'all are the worst? I don't know. Yeah.
It's she's the real Teal.
Oh, how do you if you're Kylie, how do you feel about maps in general?
Oh, I fucking hate maps.
How did they make you? Okay.
Fucking hate
it's
those
her,
guys.
Don't worry.
Maps and
Yep,
books?
yep.
Fuck that shit.
It's her. Don't worry, guys.
Anyway, would I recommend? Yeah, I would. I think you should look up the trigger warnings for certain stories if you're very sensitive.
Definitely.
But I think overall, very fun, very spooky. Just, I think go in the expectation of it definitely leans more fiction than folklore. So.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, that was very good. For the most part, I think the majority of the offers. Gosh, maybe it's not me. Maybe I am replaced. Maybe.
No, this is the right Kylie.
This is her, for sure.
I think the majority of the authors did a really good job at writing, and there was very few that I was like, and they weren't the longest stories. The longer ones, for the most part, were good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want something for your last bit of though spooky season, it really extends until Christmas forces it away, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
November's still spooky season.
I think so. Ashley? Do you have thoughts on that? Do you have thoughts on that, Ashley?
No, it's okay.
Thoughts you want to share?
I don't think they're welcomed here. That's all right.
Oh, okay.
It's spooky season till you don't want it to be spooky season anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is after
Spooky
Thanksgiving.
Spooky season is whenever you're feeling scared.
Ashley, when do you put up your Christmas tree? I'm curious.
Okay, you also put up your Christmas tree early.
No, I do not.
You do.
When do I put my Christmas tree up? After Thanksgiving.
The day after Thanksgiving.
That is not early. Day after Thanksgiving is not early. That's right on time. So Ashley, back to you.
I don't know if I'm gonna put my Christmas tree up because I'm not gonna spend Christmas here. And Pepper, well, she climbs in the Christmas tree, so we might not do a Christmas tree. Did I tell you about the time where we came home and her this is back when she wore a collar and we had roommates and her collar was in the tree.
Oh?
No. She
Poor baby.
Yeah, she got stuck, and thankfully we got her a breakaway collar, cause Anyway, sorry.
Poor baby.
Yeah.
So that still didn't answer the question. That still didn't answer the question. Hold on, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I said I wasn't gonna do one this year.
Right, but when do you normally put it up?
I don't know. I've only done a Christmas tree once, and that was last year, and I don't remember. Honestly, I might do it early though, cause lately I have not been a spooky gal.
Oh.
It's scary.
Wow.
I used to be able to watch scary movies, and I really can't handle it anymore. So.
The
Poor
world
Isaac.
has been scary enough.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Especially anything that's not fictional. It's fiction, but it's a murderer. No, I can't. If the monster is could be a real life thing, I can't do it.
That's fair. That's very fair.
Because if it's mysterious, like a creature or supernatural, it's I can get over it. It's that's just a movie, but it's I don't know. People are crazy. I can't.
You know what I watched recently? That was scary. It scared the shit out of me. I watched The Shining. The Shining. That shit was so fucking scary. People who are it's not scary. Yes, that shit is. A white man running around trying to murder people? That's the scariest thing you could ever said to me. What the fuck? A man? No. It's horrifying. Horrifying. It was scary. And I screamed. And it was a terrifying movie.
It's the psychological stuff that gets me.
Yes.
Where you're like, you don't know if it's real or not, or just what the brain makes up in its fearful state. But I'm also just not a fan of like most horror, because I feel like mainstream horror really sacrifices story for jump scare. So like It, for example, the second one, It 2. I
haven't seen It 2.
It was all about trying. It's like 3 hours, so like you gotta commit yourself.
Also, fuck Stephen King. Fuck Stephen King. Just want to state that. Just to state that for everybody, we don't support that guy.
Whoa.
Oh, why? What happened? I don't know anything.
At the end of It, there's a child orgy, so.
Oh,
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Anyway, continue what you were saying, though.
Yeah, It 2, I thought it did not come through with like, it was just all about being like showy and gory and jump scary, and the storyline was not there. And I think a lot of like major movie theater horror films are like that. My favorite I've come across was like Haunting of Hill House.
Oh, that was a good series.
This little thing that I've come across. That sounds, no, the Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor are both very good because they're just well done stories.
Bly Manor made me stop.
Yeah, Bly Manor made me stop.
If you want a good laugh, go watch Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. It's satire on classic horror movie, and it took me so long to realize that the movie was satirical, and then once it dawns on you, you're like, oh, this is hilarious.
That was a good movie that you made us watch. That was really good. It was really funny.
That was such a good movie that you forced us to watch. I loved it so much. You're not making me say this at all.
No, because I was trying to think, because there was one I was about to recommend, but I need to ask Zen or Ray, because I was watching it in a movie night chat, and they were there. What was the movie that we watched that was goofy? It was goofy, it was black and white, and it was about Frankenstein. But it was a comedy, but it was a horror. It was like a spoof horror movie, and it was really fun. Someone answer that for me. I don't know what the fuck it was called. Help. Young Frankenstein. Thank you, Zen. Zen knows all the movies. Thank you. Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Ray. Thank you. Young Frankenstein. You guys should watch it. It's very funny, very comical, very goofy. It's a spoof on like old horror black and white movies. It's very good. Very funny. It made me laugh out loud. It's an older movie, but it made me laugh out loud. Like, it was really hilarious. Yeah, if you're in like if you're in a goofy mood and you're like, I don't want to watch anything scary, but I would love to watch something Halloween themed, that's good. Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. Anything else for book club?
I don't think so.
Okay, now we're just yapping. So anything else for book club before we end?
Off the topic.
Anything you think people should know before reading the book? Any other last minute things that you want to say? Anything else?
Nope.
Ash, you good? Mm-hmm. Okay. That means book club's officially over. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. Book club ends. I will be still here after book club. We're going to take a BRB because I have to pee so bad. I've had to pee for literally 45 minutes. But that being said, I should have peed when I went mute, but I didn't. I should have. Oh. I didn't plan that out. But I will be back.
She just sat there and laughed at us.
I did. I was laughing. Thank you, everyone, for who read the book or who's planning on reading the book and joining on the conversation. Thank you, Ash and Cass, for being cuties and being here.
Stop.
And we do have one more book for the year. We're reading the sequel to The House of Cerulean Sea, which we did read earlier this year. The sequel came out a couple months ago? Last month? something like
September.
that. Yeah, September. Thank you. So we'll be reading that for next month, November. So if you would like to join us for that, please pop in for that. It's going to be a good time. We're going to end with something cozy. And then for that, it's going to be, we're just all going to have questions. It's going to be a good time. No one's going to lead. Normally we do like a follow the leader kind of thing, but I think it's just going to be a hangout end of year sesh. And same with December. December is just going to be us reviewing books. So no December book. It'll just be a chill yap.
Oh, we're good at that.
Yeah. Yeah, we are. Okay, but I'm going to do a BRB. And everyone say bye, Ash. Bye, Cass. Everyone say bye.
Bye.
Bye, Ash. Bye, Cass.
Bye, Cass.
Go bye. See you in a little bit.